the concept of the Goa school. What is it all about?
It's unlike probably anything you've ever seen before, heard of. We put them in a house. It's like a big boss house.
What's the structure of the Goa school like?
We will be your friends for life. I can be a change maker in my own society.
If something is bothering me, I'll do something about it only if I want to do.
Animal rights is also very much a part of the whole sustainable development goal.
How do these mentorship programs work?
Some of them will tell us, ma'am, we've never flown in a plane before. This was wonderful. It's got to be somebody who is still finding their way. We don't just, throw out new ideas. We make sure everyone cottons on.
There's global warming, the temperatures are rising.
Sustainability is a journey for all of us. The seeds you're planting today, maybe in 20 years, they'll think of what was said.
हेलो एंड वेलकम टू अनदर एपिसोड ऑफ बात कही। जब भी हम चेंज मेकिंग की बात करते हैं, किसी बदलाव की बात करते हैं, तो यूजुअली हम सबसे पहले एक आइडिया ढूंढते हैं। बट अक्सर हम ये भूल जाते हैं कि किसी आइडिया से ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट होता है उन लोगों को ढूंढना, उन लोगों से कनेक्ट करना जो इस बदलाव की जर्नी में, इस चेंज मेकिंग की जर्नी में आपका साथ देंगे, जो आपके साथ आइडियाज एक्सचेंज करेंगे, जो मिल के वो बदलाव लाने में पूरी कोशिश करेंगे। बस आज हम ऐसे ही एक इंसान से मिलने आए हैं जिन्होंने इस जर्नी को, इस प्रोसेस को थोड़ा इजी किया है। सो लेट्स मीट माधुरी दास जी, जिन्होंने द गोवा स्कूल का एस्टैब्लिशमेंट किया हुआ है। हेलो मैम, वेलकम टू आवर शो।
Thank you so much for having me.
सो माधुरी जी, सबसे पहले तो we'll begin with the concept of the Goa school. What is it all about? यहाँ पे क्या होता है, यहाँ पे इससे कैसे जुड़ सकते हैं? What is the Goa school all about?
Okay, so thank you for that question. The big idea behind the Goa school is to have, young people who are between the ages of say 21 and 29, and to have them join in a learning revolution. So put them together with good ideas, new ideas, and see how they can use them for changing themselves and changing the society around them.
Mm-hmm.
And by change, we don't mean sort of big, rah-rah political change, but the things that you can do in your own family and your own communities.
Okay, so how did this entire conception of the Goa school begin? वो एक आइडिया, एक स्पार्क कुछ रहा होगा जहाँ से ये पूरा आइडिया आया। So वो क्या था?
Yeah, well, you'll have to go back a little bit. I mean, we live in India, right? And our country, unfortunately, has, I would say, roughly two parts. One part in which everyone can access all types of rights, whether they're health or education or the right to a job. And there's another part that doesn't get this on a regular basis, right? And they're struggling to catch up. So my career spanned, learning everything there is to learn about development by communicating about what different international organizations would do.
Mm-hmm.
And I traveled around the world, in fact, doing that. And but by the end of it, I was still dissatisfied. I was like, no, have I done enough? Have I done enough? And me and my husband, he was like, why don't you use your spare time, use your knowledge, use your networks, because you're sitting on a gold mine of all these things, and plow that back into society. And it was with that very small idea that the whole concept behind the Goa school sort of germinated.
Okay, so actually, ये कुछ ज़्यादा लोग कर नहीं पाते हैं बिकॉज जब आपको पता है कि आप एक कंफर्टेबल एनवायरनमेंट में बैठे हुए हैं, सो उस कंफर्ट जोन को छोड़ के कुछ ऐसा करना जो लार्जर, अगर सोसाइटी की बात करें, वहाँ पे कोई चेंज ला रहा है या फिर कि इससे दूसरों की लाइफ बेटर होगी। सो नॉट एवरीबडी कैन डू दैट। सो ये आप हमेशा से ये चीज़ रहा था या फिर इसके लिए भी कोई इंस्पिरेशन रहा हो या फिर आपके फैमिली में ऐसा पहले से चीज़ हो रही हो? तो ऐसा कुछ स्टोरी अगर इसके पीछे है तो?
Well, I'll answer that question in two parts. I mean, and please remind me about the second part because I'm old and I might forget. So the first one is, of course, I come from a background in which there has been a history of service. So all the way back to my great-grandmother, she was the first Indian principal of the IT college, which is Isabella Thoburn College. And she was bringing girls into the discussion around democracy, for example, which was what was happening at that time. India was becoming a newly independent nation, right? But also, like my grandfather, he was in the civil services, my father was in the Air Force. So all very much connected to serving this great nation of ours, right? And the second way I'd like to answer the question is that, when you say everybody can't do this, actually everybody can. The simplest and the best givers in society come from all backgrounds, right? So you can do things like just being sensitive to who is the most uncomfortable person in any gathering, in any room, right? Just check why they're uncomfortable. Make them a little bit more comfortable. That in itself is like the smallest, most compassionate level of change perhaps that you can bring. But there are other things that can happen. You can lend your voice to other movements. You can vote. You can vote with your wallet, as they say, which means that you don't actually end up buying things that are perhaps ending up polluting the earth. So you can make your voice, your income, the way you live your life really count. And that is something that we try and impart to those folks who come through the Goa school.
Okay, so you come from a family of educationalists. So please tell us something about your family, about yourself.
Well, I spoke about my family. So, about myself, as I said, I started off learning about psychology, and I actually did my internship here in Lucknow in a place called Noor Manzil. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's sort of a mental health institution. And I very quickly realized that psychologists can't do much. It's the social worker who changes the person's life. So I went on to study social work, and this became, the area that I wanted to work in for the next few years. I did that. But then as I grew through the ranks, etc., I told you that, we I mean, I had plenty of fun. There was a time in my life when I used to say I have the best job in the world because I used to go to various countries, figure out how development is working or not working there, which particular campaign or program it was that we could actually launch there, and what the conditions were. So I'll give an example. So something small like in India, we can actually educate people through mobiles because everyone's on the mobile. But when I went to Afghanistan, this was much, much earlier, and people had never really had landlines. And yet they moved directly to mobiles, right? So they did this huge leapfrog, right? This big jump from having no phones to going directly to mobiles. A little bit before your time. But when you put something like technology in everyone's hand, it becomes a source of information. And you can either use that to inform yourself, to educate yourself, or to entertain yourself, right? So if we are sitting 90% of the time entertaining ourselves, then perhaps this thing is not meeting its full potential, right? So if you just move that little bit, and when you went to Afghanistan, it was about studying how now you could get messages to people across mountain ranges that you didn't ever have the capacity to do before because all because of cell phones, right? And cell phone towers. So like that, it was very, very interesting to be in the thick of development, to be in the thick of things that you could make a change with. So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to keep that up and didn't want to completely retire from that side of my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what's the structure of the Goa school like? Like, how do the programs function? How does one associate with it? Get in touch with it?
So that's a very interesting question actually, because the whole of the Goa school works on a give back model.
Okay.
Which means that people donate their time and their skills, etc. Right? So the entire management team that's working there is working on a give back model. So people work in an office, but they don't get a pay, and they are just engaged. They bring their past skills to the table, and they help us. Right? Similarly, the mentors who come to us, they're the ones who are mentoring the youngsters who are often coming from difficult and challenging circumstances. And they are also not paid. So they come to us with the view that, look, we have all this knowledge, we have all this expertise. Let's put that back into the system for good, right? For creating good or for creating change. So the structure, it's a trust. We're a trust. So a public trust is accountable to the government. And we have a board. It's an all-woman board.
Okay.
We have a management team. We have advisors. And of course, we have all these wonderful mentors and all these wonderful fellows who come through our gates. And all of them together form what we call the Goa School Hive Mind, which is works a little bit like a think tank. Early stages, we're getting to know each other. We add new people every little while. We have discussions about certain things. We have these high-level talks, which they all participate in. that's a group of 70 plus people now.
Okay.
So we would like very much to have them become a force for change as well, together, not just in isolation.
Okay. So, if you talk about a few past programs that you've conducted, so can you tell us something about those?
So we've had 5 batches up to now. We started in 2021,
Mm-hmm.
and we take on about 1 or 2 batches in the year.
Okay.
It's very small, so it's unlike probably anything you've ever seen before, heard of. We take on only 5 fellows in every batch,
Okay.
and we use what is known as group work principles to really get them to come together, share, participate, ideate, and then to start thinking critically about all the issues that are around them. And then to say, okay, hey, I can be a change maker in my own society. How is it that I can start, even with the smallest thing? And then we connect them to mentors. So they go back home, they all come to Goa. And for them, it's very interesting. So, like, for example, we've had fellows who've come, like, all the way from, like, Arunachal Pradesh or Kashmir or like faraway places like Coimbatore, etc. And they congregate, they meet each other. That in itself is a huge thing.
True.
Some of them will tell us, "Ma'am, we've never flown in a plane before. This was wonderful, etc." Some of them are like, "Wow, Goa is fantastic." But obviously, it's beyond that as well. It's about what do you make of your fellow compatriots who are coming from different parts of the country.
Right.
What do you make of the type of society that you would like to build? And then, what's your role on this beautiful planet that we call home? Like, why are we even born? What are we doing here? What would you like to do with your life? These are the sorts of questions that we talk about. And most people find that quite fulfilling. We've got very good reviews from the fellows. So we would like to keep on with that.
So these fellows are from the age group of in their early 20s.
Yes, 21 to 29 or so.
Okay. So actually that's great because आज के time पे like you just said कि you're scrolling through your phone and you're wasting your time, not exactly wasting, but sometimes you're just not making much use of it. So ऐसे में there are people who actually want to bring about a change in this world, in the society. So I think ऐसे लोगों से मिलना भी बहुत interesting रहता होगा. उनकी खुद की अपनी कुछ stories होती होंगी, उनकी journeys होती होंगी.
Yeah, so I can give you some examples. So by the way, this is not to say that you shouldn't entertain yourself with your phone. You totally should. It's just that you should also use it as a way to get the correct information and not get backed by all this WhatsApp,
True.
university that they say, which all this fake news and all that. Okay,
it's
so
a growing university, but yes.
Well, moving on, just to say that, people have got like ideas like that which have just made something, I don't know, something come out of it, but at least it's a space to think. So I'll give you an example. There was a young girl who came to us, and she lives in Delhi and she works in the insurance space, right? And she also loves animals and she wants to work on animal rights. And she was, spending her time on her phone, rescuing some animal from somewhere, and this animal should be saved. And then she told me later on, "Ma'am, this animal had lost its hind legs, and now we've got these 2 little wheels for it to roam around, like on a wheelchair. Ma'am, so exciting." And also, that's obviously what motivates her. On the other hand, she like puts her specs on and she's like doing this, insurance thing. And, like suddenly sitting in the Goa school, she goes, "Ma'am, I want to start like insurance for pets."
Okay,
now it's an out of the box idea. It's something where she's merged 2 sides of what she loves to do. And it can create a change, right? I mean, animal rights is also very much a part of the whole sustainable development goals that the world has already worked out on, sort of change that we would like to make. So, I mean, it may be something great in the future, who knows? But people have done different things, like, for example, one other lady, she started like an organization where she would like to fund other people like herself to go through private college and private schools and all that. So, people do different things, and some of them, like, because they're young, I guess they they say, "Acha, we will first concentrate on ourselves and our families and earn money," and that's good too, right?
Nothing wrong with it.
Yes, nothing wrong with that. But then, they can lend their voices, right, to different people who are actually doing things, and they can actually decide whom to lend their voices to. So, at the Goa school, we never say, we never push people in the direction, we say, okay, start on this journey, make a start. And how far they go is totally up to them and totally up to the circumstances that they create for themselves.
And
So,
that's how change making happens. You can't force it on someone. It comes
absolutely
from
not.
within. If you want to bring
Yeah,
about a change, you'll work for it. You can't force it.
exactly.
You won't be able to force me to do something.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
only be able to do something about the way society works. If something is bothering me, I'll do something about it only if I want to do.
correct.
Yeah. Okay. So how do these mentorship programs work? Like, so you just said ki you only take up 5 students every year,
Yes.
5 fellows every year. So how does the mentorship program work? Like all the 5 people go under one mentor, or there are
No,
multiple
no, no.
mentors who are working together?
Yeah. So it's 5 or 10 depending on how many times you hold a batch. It's entirely dependent on funds.
Okay.
So yeah, it's always one-on-one. So every fellow gets their own mentor, and they can
Okay.
basically borrow that person's brain. You know, it's very nice for a youngster who's coming from difficult circumstances and who possibly doesn't have access to those good dining table conversations where parents are they're running between 3 and 4 jobs, everyone's possibly eating on their own. So they're not getting that input, and the only input and the guidance that they're looking for possibly is coming from a teacher. But then you know how our schools are or our
True.
colleges are. There's one school, one teacher, 40 kids,
40
60
kids. Yeah.
kids, 80. You know how much of that teacher's brain can you get?
Hmm.
you know so here they have an independent person, a mentor who's staunchly on their side, who's got some good life experiences to share with them, and who can help them analyze their own situation, try and alleviate their fears, anxieties, give them a bit of guidance where needed, a push along to research something perhaps, to be a shoulder to cry on, depending on what that person is going through, right? So the mentor is somebody who receives training from us. They might have been a mentor before or not, but they go through our program where we actually say that, okay, this is how we would like you to mentor, which is also saying, okay, do what you would like to do, but here are some best practices. So then it's just this beautiful one-on-one where it becomes a friendship. And we always tell people at the Goa school, look, we will be your friends for life. We will be there for
True.
you as part of the community for life. How much you engage with us is up to you.
So how long are these programs held for? Like 5 days, 4 days, how many days?
So the immersion, it starts with this immersion program which happens in Goa, right?
The 5-day immersion program.
That's 5 days.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's usually Monday to Friday, but recently we started doing from Wednesday to Sunday because a lot of kids are already in at work and they're saying, ma'am, we'll take 2 days off or 3 days. It's much better. So, we obviously we learn and we adjust based on what they're saying. So that's 5 days, and it's immersive in the sense they come to Goa. They are with us available 24/7. We put them in a house. It's like a big boss house.
Okay.
Right? They live in the same place.
They just don't fight.
Well, I mean, they might fight, God knows. They dance a lot. Sometimes they talk a lot. They fancy each other. They realize they have the same values. Oh, what fun. They go to the beach. We give them hands-on exercises, etc. So it's really full time. And you asked a question earlier, which was how do you engage? You can actually engage across the board. So you can engage by sending us fellows, asking them to apply, be part of it. And all of us have staff around us who have family, who are in the same struggling circumstances, and they would possibly be your best candidates. So you have people who can send us fellows, you can refer mentors to us, you yourself can give back your time, right? Then of course you can become a part of our management team if you so desire. We would have to assess you, of course, and see what you can do. People who come, say, 20, 25 years in their life, 25 years of experience, they can come in more at an advisory level or mentor level. And then you can also be someone who can help us find donors, because obviously this only runs as much as people are willing to put money into the system. We have to buy flights, we have to put people in give them accommodation, feed them for 5 days, that kind of thing. So
okay, so the accommodation and the travel expenses, you support everything.
We tend to support that, yeah. I mean, unless somebody says that they are able to pay. But mostly, the age group is such that your parents are struggling the most at that time. No matter what economic bracket you come from. That's one. And two, we would like to see whether the fellow has the potential for making change. We interview them, etc. So it's only after that they come to us. And once that is quite clear, and once we realize that okay, it's difficult for them to come or to pay up or whatever, then we make that payment for them. So,
Okay, so you interview these fellows. So is it similar to applying for a job, or there's a different approach to those interviews?
okay, so here I'll have to go quite deep into philosophy to explain.
Okay,
Um,
please do.
you know, we do absolutely 100% want to have somebody who's interested in making change. Otherwise, if you're talking to somebody who is not
You're just
interested,
hopping on a bandwagon, but you're
right?
not very passionate
Yeah.
about it.
Then you might have somebody who's coming to Goa because he wants a paid for
Ah,
holiday, right? Okay, so we make absolutely certain that this person has to want to make change. But after that, you know, it's not very competitive in the sense that because we are spending money on this person, we would like to give it to the most deserving, right? So this most deserving person is not necessarily the person who's got it all sorted and shoots off all the answers 100%. It's got to be somebody who is still finding their way, because it is those people who will actually gain the best from the program. The idea of the program is to have you come there, to take time out from your daily schedule to sit back, relax, unwind, figure out how the world works, and then put a plan of your own together. So, yeah, it's not meant for people who will make it anyway in the world.
ah.
Like, there's no point. They'll make it without our assistance, right? So,
Passion is a very
yeah,
important aspect of it. That's what I understood from talking
passion,
to you.
absolutely.
Okay, so if I have to become a part of it, so I'll have to go through this interview process. But how do I approach you initially? Like, do I approach you through your website or through word of mouth? What's that like?
Well, we've recently done an evaluation survey, and we found that in fact it's working best word of mouth, followed up by social media. So one assumes you hear about it, but then after that you have to fill up an application form,
Okay.
and we do a short amount of comprehension, etc. in that, because you know the language of instruction is English. Now you'll say why? Okay, mainly because fellows are coming from everywhere in the country. Now, somebody comes from Coimbatore cannot follow somebody from Arunachal and cannot follow somebody from Gujarat unless they don't all speak a modicum of English. Remember that in the south they're not going to speak Hindi,
True.
for instance, right? So, so it's for that reason. It's very practical. It's a practical reason. It's got nothing to do with ye log Angrezi bolte hain and all that kind of. You know, we're not interested in all that kind of thing. It's really just very practical. And when we're trying to catch people up with a concept, of course, we break into whatever language is needed. I remember in the first batch, there was another lady who spoke Tamil, and we had 2 Tamil students.
Okay.
And one of them was not getting it right in English also and in Hindi also. So this lady translated and made sure that you know the Tamil version of that word was told, so that everybody caught on to the conversation. And this is how we work.
And this is where the connection part comes
Right.
in.
Yeah, but this is how we work. We don't just, throw out new ideas. We make sure everyone cottons on, everyone is there, everyone participates. So that's how we do it.
Okay. So sustainability is a big part of your program. If it's a big part of your philosophy as well.
Yes.
So when it comes to these programs, the 5-day immersion programs, or anything else that you carry out throughout the year, so how do you instill sustainability in every aspect of it?
Oh, very difficult. Very difficult to say. So I think sustainability is a journey for all of us, and we are all at different levels. So some people would say, if you are interested in sustainability, why aren't more of your fellows arriving by train, and why are they arriving by plane? Because jet fuel, etc., is more polluting. And to us, the answer is, well, India is a vast country. I mean, they'll be spending 2.5 days just to get to Goa on a train, right? So we do try and modify. So if someone is coming to us from Karnataka, we buy them a train ticket, right? If someone's coming to us from Kashmir, we fly them, right? So we are so inside the organization, we are very cautious and careful about it for our own selves. But we are not. I mean, I can't say that we are 100% green. We would like to be 100% green, but we do it in different ways. So, for example, when everyone comes to that big boss house I was telling you about, we make sure that we are not we're not using too many plastic bottles and creating plastic waste and things like that. We try and get food delivered to us through a platform rather than going to a restaurant, which obviously then the cleanup and the waste is a bit less when it comes to us at the home. Things like that. Small things. We talk a lot about sustainability. We make sure that, for example, that people know about the difference between, say, waste material that is plastic and recyclable versus kitchen waste that can go into your compost heap. So it is a big part of our philosophy. You see, what we're trying to do is we're trying to translate the concepts which are there in the Sustainable Development Goals into usable nuggets of information that everyone can take and run with. Right. So this is a massive task. So we are not a huge agency. We are not getting UN funding. We're not even getting international funding because we believe that Indians should pay for this, right? The donations should come in from our own community. What we're trying to do is say, let's start on that journey together. Let's support each other. Let's try and get there together because that's a much better way of approaching it.
Correct.
So we talk about sanitation, we talk about community waste, as I was talking about. We talk about all topics under the SDGs. So and being in Goa, for example, we talk a lot about marine life and things like that. So it's everything because we are humans living on this planet. When you look around, we need to save the planet, right? That's the clearest message that's coming out of everything we know. But it's a little abstract when you say that. So what is it that each of us can do? Those are what we base our conversations on.
Because talking about all this on a larger scale, like we know that there's global warming, the temperatures are rising, the icebergs are melting, the glaciers are melting. We know that. But the thing is that what can we do on individual level to maybe if not stop it, then at least prolong it for a bit while.
Yeah.
So I think that's
slow it down.
Slow it down. Yeah. Okay. So there are two aspects of everything. So there's a theoretical part and then there's a practical part of it.
Right.
So in theory, you sit and talk, you discuss, you come up with new ideas during the 5-day immersion programs and the Hive Minds, I think. So the people, the mentors, the fellows, they sit together, they brainstorm, they come up with new ideas. Now, how are these ideas implemented in day-to-day life?
In the fellows' day-to-day lives.
In the fellows' day-to-day life, and if the fellows are so returning back, then returning to their homes,
to their lives.
So to their usual lives, their daily lives, and do they propagate those ideas in their day-to-day activities as well?
Okay, good question. So I'll just back up a little bit before I answer that question. What I will say is that it's not only ideas. It's very, very practical even in those 5 days. So for example, once we took all of them and we went to an old part of the city and we asked them to look around, observe and to make plans as though they were policy makers as to how they would improve that part of the city, right? So when they come back, they debate ideas that, we should have like a metro train line running through this, or we should clean it, or we should do whatever. So they are now thinking in an integrated way. Right, so it's all the ideas that we're talking about, and the planning that they're doing is something that is practical, something based on what they've seen. Right, we also hold debates and things like that, which are very. So you see, it's the same thing from all sides, so that you can make up your own mind. I mean, that's the whole point about critical thinking, right?
Right. True.
Now, when they go back, so during those 5 days, we also take them through a personal journey. Of change that they would like to create for themselves and the people around them. And then we also talk to them about the community and the planet, right? So they take the input that they get from all of this and they start what they call a rudimentary self-development plan for themselves and the community and the plan, what they are going to do. And it's just ideas. So at that stage, when they go back, they have access to their mentors. So they have the opportunity, if they would like, to convert those into full-blown plans.
Okay.
To do something at their level in their homes. Sometimes this doesn't happen. And all that happens is they become just very sharp towards different problems, and then they join others who may be taking the lead in that. And they know which way to vote should the issue come up. So that in itself is a change, right? So when we are measuring the change that they have, we have it along a continuum. Have I made a change within myself? Have I started having discussions with people? Like when they come back from Goa and everyone says, what do you do there? Are they discussing with their family and their friends? Are they taking that message outside? And then are they doing something in terms of actually making a change through some project or through some presentation or something that they would like to do? So it's a continuum, and we check along that continuum. And also, I myself have a mentor, of course,
Okay.
who's helping me through this process. Jonathan Burton, very wise man. He once said, Marjorie, you know, you check back after 1 year, you check back after 2 years, but the seeds you're planting today, maybe in 20 years they'll think of what was said, right?
True.
So, and then when they're ready to give back, they will give back.
And since it's a great learning experience, so
Yeah.
when after they return back to their daily lives, so they can, at the place that they're living, they can get associated with other organizations that are
Exactly.
working in the same field. You just
Exactly.
mentioned that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's actually an interesting way of implementing all those in your daily lives. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one last question. So for the people who are still curious about the Goa school, about the entire the programs that are here,
Yeah.
so how does the Goa school stand out from other mentorship programs that are working on the same lines? And also, why should one associate with the Goa school?
Ooh, tough question. All right. I can't say that we are vastly different from other mentorship programs, but the way I have observed it is that other mentorship programs typically take place within a corporate setting. And then the object of the exercise is to get this person to become their high performing best, right?
Right.
For us, the object of the exercise is not that. The object of the exercise is for you to find your place in this world, to have a vision for yourself, to understand where you are, to understand where you might be in a few years, and what is it that you would like to achieve, not in a performance related way, but perhaps more in a way where you can create a compassionate citizenry, if that's a word, right, around you, right, and to be the source of that and to support others to be like that. And if we can create that as the purpose of our mentorship, I mean, we can have it in words or somewhere at the back of our mind, but if we can actually manage to create that, then we will consider ourselves successful. So, slightly different.
Okay. So, Madhuriti, it was wonderful talking to you. It was wonderful having you. And I hope इस एपिसोड से लोगों को थोड़ा एक आइडिया लगा हो कि क्यों इस प्रोग्राम से जुड़ना चाहिए. एंड अगर समहाउ नहीं भी जुड़ पाते तो एटलीस्ट सस्टेनेबिलिटी को एंड इस फिलॉसफी को अपने लाइफ में इंस्टिल कर सके. सो थैंक यू वंस अगेन. एंड ये थी हमारी आज की बात कही माधुरी दास जी के साथ में. एंड मिलते हैं आपसे अगले एपिसोड में. तब तक के लिए हमारे चैनल को लाइक शेयर और सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें.
Great. Thank you so much.